Congratulations, draftees. Today is your day. You're off to great places. Commish, say hey.
There you go. Come on.
With a chain on your neck and Versace on your shoes, you'll have the best drip as you wait for a team to choose. You've worked your tail off, so let the people know that you're the guy who'll help their franchise grow. Teams looking at players, debating with care, fans anxiously waiting to see who will go where. Last year, Trevor Lawrence was the #1 pick. This year, Aidan Hutchinson's name should be called quick. Now, the draft can be an up and down slope. Things will happen and frequently do, like Eli Manning saying nope, or CeeDee Lamb snatching his phone from his boot. The war rooms will battle to make things happen. So don't worry, don't stoop, just go right along. You'll get the call too. Oh, the places you'll go. You'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. Enjoy draft night in Vegas, under the lights.
What an entrance, and with that, we say hello and welcome to Pre-Draft Tailgate presented by Chevy Silverado. There you see Las Vegas, the city. It will not sleep all week because the NFL Draft is heading to the Sin City. Now you see us, I am Field Yates, and to my left we have former NFL defensive tackle and multimedia broadcasting superstar A.J. Francis.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you, man.
We could do an entire show on just your career.
I mean, we could.
We're going to talk a little draft just instead.
I guess we got to talk about the draft.
Skubie Mageza.
Yeah.
Would you prefer Seuss be your legal last name at this point?
You know, I'll add it to the AKAs. You know what I mean?
Okay.
AKA Scoop-tastic, AKA Scoop 3Z, AKA.
I feel like you're skipping the easy one.
Okay.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
That was incredible. How long did that poem take you to write? Be honest.
I got to give a shout out to our producer, Christine. She's the one that wrote it and asked me to read it. So shout out to her. She's the one that kills it. We got a lot of great people behind the scenes.
We sure do. That's how this
And there's
show...
nothing wrong with having a ghostwriter.
Of course, yeah. But the difference between Scooby and most people is they don't admit it when they have a
Bingo.
right?
Keep it a buck. Yeah, I keep it a buck.
Selfless and talented, wrapped into one personality. We have a show that's going to give you everything you need to know over the next 30 or so minutes about this 2022 NFL Draft, which is just by my watch 76 hours away. Not a great math guy, so if I'm off by a couple hours, my apologies. But as we always do, we're going to start at the very top as we dive into our top storylines in this year's draft. And the Jaguars, for the second straight year, only first overall pick. Last year was easy, though, right?
Is that a good
Trevor
thing?
Lawrence.
Yeah.
Depends how you look at it, I guess. Last year was easy, right? Trevor Lawrence and his luscious hair are going to Jacksonville. He's going to eventually be their star quarterback. Wasn't great, but it did finish strong last year, the 18th week of the season. He played really well. But they have not had a great draft history in terms of drafting and keeping players that they took in the top 5, as you see right here. This year's a very different year, though. And A.J., I'll give you first licks here as the guest at ESPN. Is Aidan Hutchinson to the Jaguars #1 overall a foregone conclusion, or should it be, in your opinion?
I don't think it should be. I think it is, though.
Okay,
I do genuinely believe that he has too much. I mean, let's be real. The draft is all about how you get your name out there and how people feel about you. Perception is reality, right?
Okay.
So I personally think that the best defensive end in the draft is Jermaine Johnson. I genuinely do.
Florida State.
I do. And it's not just because I'm a mark of his from when he was on Last Chance U.
Okay.
It's because I genuinely see his movements on the field, how his size and athleticism translates into his pass rush, his hand movements, his handwork, his footwork. I think he's the best available defensive end. But I don't think that he's going to be picked first overall. And he might be the 3rd or even 4th defensive end taken in the draft.
Wow, some value, perhaps.
Yeah, you know, this draft is really interesting, Field, because what is going to happen within those first 3 picks are the Jaguars aren't in the best position, as you mentioned, where this is a quarterback-heavy class where they can trade out of this position because they got their quarterback last year.
Right.
But then you look at this season, Aidan Hutchinson seems like the sure, proven product. But if you look on ESPN today, Todd McShay came out with a new article talking about the latest buzz that that he's heard from scouts and execs all around the league. And Trayvon Walker is seeming like the top guy that they're interested, because right now they're looking at his possible ceiling, the athleticism. He ran a 4.51 40-yard dash at 270-something pounds. So they're seeing, this guy has a high ceiling. He could possibly become great, and they're more interested in that more than the proven product of Hutchinson. But I think Hutchinson should go number 1.
Okay, so Aidan Hutchinson could be the number 1 overall pick, but as Skubie referenced, Vegas, which is where the draft will be, a bunch of sports books there. As a matter of fact, basically every major sports book now has Trayvon Walker as the betting favorite to go number 1 overall.
Could you imagine a better place to get drafted at than Vegas?
That would be pretty fun. If you haven't seen the setup, it's going to be ridiculous come Thursday night. No moat, but still an awesome setup for the entire 3-day process. But Trayvon Walker, Aidan Hutchinson, no matter which one of them goes first, if one of those two goes first, it means a defensive end will start off the draft. And there is a big-time pass rushing class this year. It's the deepest position in the draft, at least according to many of our experts, and at least potentially 4 of the first 7 picks, AJ, could be defensive ends. So let's take that point you made about Jermaine Johnson II a step further. Do you believe he has a chance to be not just the best, but the biggest immediate impact player, or is he a guy that needs a year or 2 or 3 to become seasoned, whereas a Walker or an Aidan Hutchinson or perhaps a Kayvon Thibodeau gives you more immediate return?
I think that they're all going to have immediate impacts, and strictly off the strength of the fact that they're going to be drafted high enough that they're going to get the opportunities, and they're not being drafted to stop the run. They're being drafted to rush the passer.
Okay.
They're going to be out there on 3rd down. They're going to be out there on 2nd and long. They're going to be out there when you know that they're passing the ball, so that they get an opportunity to make plays like we're seeing them make right now.
Scooby, thoughts on this pass rush class and whether AJ is crazy, or if Jermaine Johnson II could actually
Look at this
the ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
As I said, I love Aidan Hutchinson because look at what he was able to do last season. He had 14 sacks, broke the record at Michigan. That, by the way, his father is the one that had that record. So rushing the passer is in his DNA. Literally. And the knock on Aidan Hutchinson is he's a senior. You know, you look at he had to play all those years to do that, but his junior season wasn't really a junior season because it was a COVID year. Michigan only played about 2 games that year. So he's still kind of fresh because he had that year where he got to chill in his junior year and come in here. Aidan Hutchinson is a proven leader. He's a guy that has performed in big games. I think the Jaguars should just go for Hutchinson because when you look at what they were able to do last year, tied 27th in tackles for loss, 27th in sacks last year. You need a sure proven guy. Don't mess up. Just get the dude you know is gonna ball.
Yeah, they gotta nail this pick, especially after a big free agent. They signed literally everybody except for the 3 of us in free agency. So there should be better based off of the talent adds alone.
And if they don't pick Aidan Hutchinson first overall, Detroit definitely will with that second.
Exactly. For Aidan Hutchinson,
you know, Michigan owned. You know,
yeah, that would be quite fitting. Let's go to the quarterback, Scooby, and this is not last year. We had 5 in the top 15, and it turned out the guy who was drafted 5th out of those 5, Mac Jones, was by far the best of the 5, at least as a rookie last year. It was a deep class. This is not a deep class this year. But can any quarterback, a single one of them, change the fortunes of a franchise this year and going forward?
Let me answer your question with a question, Field. It depends when your team needs that quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the whole situation, the Panthers at number 6, they need a quarterback, right? They're looking at a quarterback, but then at the same time, you need to win right now, and you don't have a pick until the 4th round. So the quarterbacks that we have in this year's draft, their draft grade is in the middle of the draft. So they're not high-toted prospects, right? So Malik Willis, you bring that guy in. He's dynamic. He's a great runner as well. Electric arm, but he needs a year to wait. So if you're going to bring him in, you can't put him on the field right away. Kenny Pickett, he's the guy that's ready right now. Played 4 years, 40-plus games that he started at. You bring him in, he's going to be a baller for you. And then you look at Desmond Ridder. He's a guy that's been all over the draft board because you do the first draft show. And I hear Todd McShay and Mark Kuiper saying, listen, his projection is from the 1st round to the 3rd round.
Who knows?
So who knows? And he's a guy that could play now, could play later, but he has a lot of experience as well.
AJ,
So what are you looking for?
honestly, I think that Malik Willis is the only bona fide potential superstar in this draft. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody else that's in the draft, but I'm just saying from the throws that I've seen that he can make and the throws that everyone else has attempted to make, and as well as the fact that he can extend the play with his feet. I mean, Desmond Ridder can run too, but Malik Willis is out there looking like a magician when he's playing. And you got to take into account, he was at Liberty. The fact that he was able to go to Liberty and put his name in the same echelon as guys that went to Pittsburgh, as guys that went to Cincinnati, it proves how dominant he was while he was at Liberty, because nobody's going to Liberty's pro day and looking for a first-round draft pick quarterback until this year.
Malik Willis, as Mel Kiper Jr. has said many times during the pre-draft process, is the lone quarterback in this year's class that immediately strikes fear into opposing defense because of that.
Listen, quarterbacks that have had 20 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns in back-to-back seasons, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's a good list. And then Tim Tebow falls in that list too. But respect to Tebow. I love Tebow.
Tebow won a playoff game, you know?
Exactly. So when you look at Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, those are guys that waited. They didn't get into the league and play right away. So Malik Willis, you give him some time to just marinate like a good piece of steak or chicken or something. Don't say it's going to be popping once he's ready to eat.
Patience is a virtue. Perhaps a team like Pittsburgh will make some sense for Malik Willis. You see in the most recent Mel Kiper mock draft, he has him going 6th overall to the Carolina Panthers. You know, sometimes a quarterback is only as good as the players around him. And this offseason has been bananas for wide receivers who seemingly every time I turn have changed teams.
6 wideouts projected to go in the first round.
Microphone 1 2 1 2. Pack the whole place out. Watch what I do.
It's caught by London for the touchdown.
That is a quarterback's best friend. Everything he does is so smooth.
Garrett Wilson has arrived to the party.
Burks is gonna go.
There you see those wide receivers, a very strong class this year. And before we can talk about the rookies, or the soon-to-be rookies, AJ, we have to talk about Deebo Samuel, who, as we're having this conversation about 30 minutes after 49ers GM John Lynch basically said, like, I know Deebo's has requested a trade, but, like, you just can't trade a guy like that.
Yeah, okay.
But
sounds good till he decides to not show up.
Right. So what do you do here? Like, it feels like rock and a hard place right now for San Francisco. And how does Deebo's trade request impact this wide receiver draft class?
I mean, what do you do here is the question that you asked before that. You pay the man.
Okay.
You give him the money that he's requested. Is he not the most important asset on your offense?
He's up there.
Is he not? Is he not the most important asset on any offense as a wide receiver in the NFL?
Also up there.
One of Deebo's problems, just from reading reports and listening to them, is how they used him. I remember watching the way that the 49ers used him in some of the games late down the season. This dude's doing kick returns. This dude's running the ball, but they're catching the ball. They're giving him the ball back to back. He doesn't like how his body's necessarily being used. And then when you talk about the impact it can have on this year's draft class, look at the Jets. They're a team that tried to trade for Tyreek Hill, right? And they never got Tyreek Hill. And now they have a player that's available who they'll be willing to give a top contract to as well in terms of Deebo Samuel. So Deebo Samuel, the reason why he can impact this draft is because right now teams know the value of draft picks. You know where you're going to be picking. You know the value of that pick. And if you're going to make a trade for this year's draft picks, at least I know, you're going to be picking at 29. You're going to be picking at 4 and 10. So that's the reason why I can impact this draft, because especially a team like the Jets, who are wide receiver needy, if they go for him, what will be going on next? Because Field, I'm looking.
The Jets are more than wide receiver needy.
I'm looking at this whole list. I don't know what you think about Deebo and the potential trade options.
I want to take John Lynch at his word, because he's saying, like, I can't imagine moving on from him. At the same time, like, when a player puts his foot down, we have seen in the NFL, it matters more than ever.
Yeah, it does.
Right? We're not in the NBA, where player empowerment's a term that I've heard used so much that I'm sick of it. But we're seeing when NFL players want something, they're going to get it. Like, the idea of trading away Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, said that to me a year ago, I would have laughed at you. I said, yeah, go, okay, have fun, right?
We started the show off with the list of people the Jaguars have traded. Look at Jalen Ramsey. He did the exact same thing.
Totally.
And it worked for him.
Here we are, and all of a sudden it feels more and more possible that Deebo Samuel could be traded. But let's use Deebo as a jumping off point to the wide receiver draft class. Skubie, it's a really deep one. Picking your favorite receiver in this draft class might be like picking your favorite flavor of ice cream, or your favorite kid, or favorite slice of pizza. But what do you make of this draft class? Do you feel as though there is one that stands out above the rest? Do you feel like there's a couple man tier? How would you size up these prospects?
Well, the top two, it seems like it's Garrett Wilson and Drake London. But I think Garrett Wilson is the guy that'll go off the board first, which is why he's 8th in the projected first-round wide receivers that we have right now. I mean, he was dynamic as a wide receiver at Ohio State, and he stood out. In the offense, I had 3 dynamic receivers. But the thing about Wilson is his body control. It's kind of insane how
These cuts
explosive
remind
he
me
is.
a lot of Stephon Diggs.
Exactly. He ran a 4.3, blazing speed, breakaway speed against any receiver. And then he also has a basketball background. He was a D1 prospect. And the thing about guys who are D1 prospects for basketball coming out of high school into college, it translates well into football because it's always about body positioning and how you can get that rebound, get that jump ball. So I think Garrett Wilson is definitely the top guy.
I mean, I'm a little bit of a homer. Jahan Dotson. I know you have
my guy. That's my guy.
You have a connection with him.
Get him too.
I think he's very underrated.
What's the Homer connection there?
I played for James Franklin when he was at the University of Maryland. Now head coach at Penn State.
Yep.
And I'm really, I think just in the games that I've seen of Jahan, I think that if he goes into a team like, let's say, a team that has a number 1 wide receiver already, a team that has someone that you have to account for every single time they line up on the field, like a Buffalo Bills, and you put him opposite a Stephon Diggs, that man is going to be a matchup nightmare for so many different defensive coordinators.
And I got plenty more to say about Jahan Dotson, just a little tease for y'all later on in the show, just to go off of your point. But I agree, Jahan Dotson is one of the most underrated prospects here.
I agree.
Change the, what do you say when we're on internet TV? Don't change the social media app that you're on right now?
Yeah.
Stay right here. Stay locked in.
Don't change the channel. Just stay right here.
Don't swipe.
Don't change the stream. That's what I think we're being told is the official vernacular that we should be using here.
Vernacular.
It's a big word. Yeah, I don't actually know if I used it correctly. Hopefully I did. It's time for us to look at some team needs presented by Chevy. And let's take a look at some of these team needs presented by Chevy Silverado. There are 8 teams that have multiple ones. 8. There has never been a draft where 8 teams have gone into the draft with 2 at least first-round picks. That would be the most all-time. Now, there's trades involved, and anything could happen. For all we know, 4 of these teams could trade away one of their first, and we could have, it could be a whole flipped upside-down order. That being said, what we decided to do is we thought with the draft in Vegas, we thought we'd pick one team from one of these each, and of course, there are 8 teams to choose from, and assign them a perfect blackjack hand, right? They could be dealt in the first round, so a way to land 21, so to speak. AJ, you get the first crack here, and you nearly became a Detroit Lion after going undrafted. You chose the Dolphins instead.
For $500.
For $500 extra dollars. That's a great story in and of itself. But what's a perfect first round look like for the Lions?
I genuinely believe that, once again, I played for Dan Campbell when I was on the Dolphins when he was the interim head coach.
Okay.
He's all about competition, just like Pete Carroll. And I think that if you can find a way to trade back from the second pick so that you can get Malik Willis around 6 or 7 and use that extra compensation that you got from that trade to trade back up with that 32nd to get Jermaine Johnson around 9, 10, 11, 12. I think that not only do you get the quarterback that you need in the future that can learn behind Jared Goff for a couple years, as we've talked about before. Maybe he needs a little more seasoning, right, to get ready for the NFL.
Nothing wrong with seasoning.
Not to mention, do you get that quarterback, but then you get, in my opinion, the best pass rusher in the draft in Jermaine Johnson. And the NFC North goes through Green Bay, no matter if Devontae Adams is there or not. There's been a million receivers that have gone through Green Bay. It's always because Aaron Rodgers is there. And to beat Aaron Rodgers, you need good quarterback play, and you need somebody to get after him. And that's exactly what Jermaine Johnson can do for them. And not to mention, Detroit currently has a pretty good defensive line. Adding Jermaine Johnson to that would make them incredible.
Okay, so the Lions' perfect first round is as such, dealt by A.J.
I like that. The Goffense.
Scubie, you're up.
The Goffense.
Yeah. The Goffense. That's been trademarked by several people. Actually, just by A.J. Scubie, have at it, my friend. The Chiefs, they now have 2 first-round picks because they traded away Tyreek Hill, which is kind of significant.
A couple minutes ago, I told you I'm going to bring up Jahan Dotson. So when you look at what the Chiefs are doing, I think Jahan Dotson would be a great fit for that team, as well as Daxton Hill. Now, this comes because of 2 veterans that they no longer have on that team. Tyreek Hill, They no longer have him. The Chiefs need to add one more weapon at the wide receiver position because you need that third guy to be able to create that separation. Every single week, Jahan Dotson was Penn State's offense.
Right.
We knew where the ball was going. He was cooking up dudes like a chef in the kitchen with every single play that he had, and it didn't matter. He could run the ball. He would catch a ball, and he also is a special teams player. He does punt returns and kick returns, so that brings more value with the Chiefs when you talk about bringing in Jahan Dotson. And quick little backstory, I've known him since he was a kid. My roommate back in college and teammate, because I played college ball, is Jahan Dotson's little cousin. And they grew up together, and he'll tell you, he taught Jahan Dotson how to play football. And I used to watch dudes Papuana videos, and he's like, yo, check out my cousin. I'm like, yo, he's to the league. And guess what? He's to the league.
Facts.
So I know the character, Jahan Dotson, great kid. And then Daxton Hill, right now, Tyrann Mathieu, we don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
They're still
Probably not returning to Kansas City,
probably not coming back.
Yep.
So you need a guy who can kind of replace all the holes that he left. And Daxton Hill's a great person to do it. He's a safety that can play press against the slot. He can also play off. He can rush at the quarterback, and he's fast and big-bodied. Ran a 4.3. People realize how fast a 4.3 is in the 40-yard dash,
fast.
and he's got the size. So Daxton Hill will be a great fit to replace Tyrann Mathieu
You run
in
the
return.
4.3 or 4.2 when you were talking.
I'm proud to say that at 310 pounds, I ran a 4.98.
Dang.
Yeah.
You got below 5, which is all that matters.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. When I saw that 4, I said, "Oh, I'm in there."
Okay,
you
we're
look
done.
like you look like you got some speed, but Chiefs, that's the best pick for them in my opinion. But,
Okay.
Blackjack, we all got one hand field. What's yours?
Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers now have 2 first-round picks. How about Traylon Burks, wide receiver from Arkansas, and the Christian Watson, wide receiver from North Dakota State.
like
Now, these two players may both have like comparable hype. That's about as far as the comparisons go between these two guys. Traylon Burks, as you see right there, can make contested catches at the point of attack. But what he's really best at is what you see right here, which is run after the catch. There have been a couple comparisons to like Deebo Samuel. He'd be like a supersized Deebo Samuel, not nearly as fast or elusive as Deebo, but really good with the ball in his hands and after the catch. As we've seen in the NFL, we're seeing teams manufacture touches more and more for wide receivers. Christian Watson is blazing speed. He might be the fastest straight line receiver in this draft. Did not have a ton of games against like high level competition playing at North Dakota State.
That doesn't matter.
But just for when scouts are not that they're seeing him locked up against a Derek Stingley Jr. or a Sauce Gardner, but you can see here, straight line speed is hard to come by. We all know the Packers traded away Devontae Adams. They also lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yep.
It has been 18 years, 18 since they used a first-round pick on a wide receiver. I'm saying to their GM, Brian Gutekunst, not just one, but 2 first-round wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers should be happy because he got $150 million coming over the next 3 years.
I mean, how could you not be?
I would be happy with like $100 million. I do for $50 million. You want me to quote? I'll take $100 million discount.
Cut it in half, man.
This guy's a scam
That wasn't very
already.
convincing, but
What a great guy you are.
I do.
Discount,
Seriously, I'm just man of the people. Take one for the team here. But that's how we get to the Packers in their perfect blackjack hand. And it's cool to evaluate players and all that, but the most important trait in a player is his name, right? That is the most, and we got some pretty unique names. We got Skubie, Field. A.J., A.J. is a little more mainstream than Skubie and Field, but still unique in and of itself. So let's get to the top draft names, 5 through 1. And we got some big ones here. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a man of the people here and let you guys take the reins here, and we'll do a draft. We'll go back and forth, snake order here, and AJ is the guest. You get there we go, serpentine. You get the 5th pick. We're gonna do 5 to 1, and if you guys don't grab the name that I know is consensus number one, then I will make sure that we find a way to redo this one more time. I need to get my touchscreen pulled back up, hopefully. But number 5 is going to go to you, AJ. We had the list up there in just a second. Hopefully it's going to reconnect. There we go. All right, here we go. Number 5. Who was the 5th name in the top draft? We're starting pick number 5. We're going to 5 to 1.
I think we all know what number 1 is, correct?
Okay.
So what I feel like is I got to start it off right by something that relates to number 1.
Okay.
I'm going with Snoop Connor.
Ooh, I was hoping you would say
You know what I'm saying? Because
hoping you'd say that.
who doesn't love Snoop?
I literally don't know a single person that doesn't
Who
love Snoop.
doesn't love Snoop?
Yeah.
Arguably the greatest and most well-known and most popular hip-hop artist of all time. Not being named after having the same name as someone of that level. I
Pretty
mean,
sweet right there.
It's pretty good.
I do love
connection.
Snoop Connor.
And not to mention, Look at him.
Yeah, he got some game, too.
Look at him.
It's not just a name. He's got some game as well.
Tote Man. I like to say Tote Man Jenkins.
There we go. Tote Man Jenkins. Snoop Conner goes number 5 in our 5-through-1 draft here. So A.J. goes first. Skubie's up second. You get to pick a player fourth based exclusively on his name. Nothing else. What are you going for?
I think I'm going to go with Booyah My Fave.
Okay, there you go.
You know why? Because Booyah my favorite. You know, you feel me? I just like how
his workshop that
you know what I mean?
right off the top.
Booyah my fave. And that's what I would say if I was Booyah my fave. And I struggle to pick which one this one will be, but I think at number 4, that's a solid pick of Booyah my fave.
Okay,
it's just
there you go.
fun to say. You say it in one breath too. Like you don't need to like breathe again. Like just Booyah my fave.
There you go. He might be a first round pick, by the way, if everything goes right for him on Thursday night. So that's 5-4. It gives us a 3. AJ, who got a 3?
Sauce Gardner. I mean, the man got the sauce.
Yeah.
That swagoo. Everything you need. Excessive sauce. That's what you need.
No such thing as excessive sauce.
There's nothing. Look at this. Let me get those. I need those tips and overthrows. Gotta get those. Everybody knows that. Listen, anytime a DB's name is Sauce, you know he come in the field dripping. Dripping. Look at him. He gonna walk in the locker room dripping.
There you go. All right,
Sauce
so
Gardner.
Sauce goes 3rd overall. He might go 3rd overall in the draft, by the way.
Good point right there. Don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on. And Matt, I thought Sauce would have been number 1. I'm just going to let you know, AJ.
Well, number 1, I'm glad you guys haven't yet picked because of the player that I think should be number 1. But go ahead, number 2 here.
All right.
You got Skubie.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Big Cat Brian.
Okay.
Love it. Big Cat Brian. I mean, is that really his real name?
That's his name.
Big
that's
Cat
what he goes
Brian.
by. Listen, that's his
Oh,
name. Big
man.
Cat Brian.
And
This should be number 1, by the way.
Literally. And the fact that he plays a right position that fits with his name. Big Cat coming to get you.
Big Cat.
Woo, Big Cat.
And he is actually a big cat, too.
Yeah, he is.
Look at this dude. This dude can move. AJ's going to have a 20-minute scouting report on YouTube later on today because he's a defensive lineman. I love this pick right here. Love the pick. He should be a first-round pick, in my opinion. That brings us to the last pick. Last one here. Best name in the draft.
Close us out, AJ.
Yeah, bring it home in style.
And could it be anyone other than Smoke Monday?
Smoke Monday. Pretty good right there. Pretty
Smoke
good
every
right
Monday.
There, huh?
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to. Smoke Monday.
Smoke Monday.
In the history of names, I've never heard a name better than Smoke Monday.
It goes with the day of a week, too. You know what I mean? And the thing about Smoke Monday, let's say he gets a Monday night football game. He's like, I'm bringing the smoke today, Monday. On Monday night, Smoke Monday.
Or he hit him with the I'm Smoke Monday, but I bring the smoke on Sunday, too.
Ooh.
Man.
Hey, AJ got bars, y'all. He was freestyling before the show, and that boy got bars. I'm going to let you know right now.
I don't know who Smoke Monday's agent is, but if you need that person, if you want to do it for like a 0.5%, these two are, you guys could be his hype man / his agent as well. Let's finish up the show with some undrafted free agent talk. And here's the deal. The NFL screwed up.
Yeah.
They just did.
They did.
They did not draft A.J. Francis.
Boo.
They let him slide through the cracks. And instead, he goes to first Miami. He ends up with a nice career, handful of different teams. Again, multimedia journalist superstar here. But should have been drafted. But let's talk about life as an undrafted player. Let me ask you this. By about the 6th or 7th round, were you thinking to yourself, all right, I want to get drafted?
Look at the highlights.
Oh, my man is making plays.
Give me those.
Man, don't even try bringing that nonsense.
Oh, Geno Smith, sack.
Geno. By the time you get to the 6th, 7th round, were you thinking to yourself, I just want to hear my name called? Are you saying, I don't even want to be drafted because I want to have the opportunity to have some liberty to decide where I'm going next?
Honestly, people love to say, oh, man, you can choose where you want to go when you don't go get undrafted. That's a fallacy.
Okay.
I don't think that's true at all. First of all, you grow up your whole life wanting to be drafted.
Yeah.
End of the story. I had a draft party to get drafted, okay?
Yeah,
exactly.
When you're getting these calls in the 6th and 7th round, it's these scouts telling you, oh, we might draft you. But really what they're doing is trying to gauge your interest to try to sign you after the draft, right? So, like, you got to understand, GMs are inclined to keep their draft picks. Why? Because it makes them look good.
Yep.
So if I'm a 6th round or a 5th round or a 7th round draft pick, and I'm not as good as the guy that's undrafted at the same position as me, but I get the opportunity because the GM doesn't want to admit, man, I didn't know what I was doing when I drafted this kid.
Yeah.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay.
So you're more inclined as a GM to keep a 5th, 6th, 7th round draft pick than you would an undrafted player at the same position. And not to mention, the signing bonus is probably 10 times better, even in the 5th round.
Okay, there you have it. All right, so interesting thought right there. So let's wrap it up here. What was the experience like for you? Like, just like that draft experience, you look back on it, like understanding that, like, you don't end up getting drafted. Like, do you look back on it favorably? Do you look back on it, like, negatively? How do you look back on it?
Honestly, it was probably one of the coolest days of my life, even though I didn't get drafted.
Okay.
It was the fact that, like, I still was able to accomplish everything that I wanted to do in the NFL. I was still able to have a 5-year career in the NFL.
That's
and I feel like it was even better because I got it out the mud, because nothing was handed to me, and I had to get it how I could every single day. And every day I was looking over my shoulder, and every day I made it through. So I got cut 9 times, but I got signed 10 now.
There you go.
Beauty in the struggle. Beauty in the struggle.
Beauty in the
brother.
struggle, well said. My guy Skubie, my guy AJ, I am Field Yates. Fun stuff this week. The NFL draft starts Thursday night. You can watch it on ESPN, that much you know.